worth £14 billion a year. But the bosses are criminals, and their business is fraud.
There is a huge misconception that fraud isn't nasty, it's not horrible, it's not violent.
I am coming for you. Before you take me, I'm going to take you. I don't want your money. I don't want memorial. But I am going to take you.
In this series, I've been investigating the UK's richest career criminals. First drug barons, then smugglers. But in this programme, I'm on the trail of the wealthiest of all, the fraudsters.
Whites ran this country. Will never forgive you. People who succeed where you should fail. They will always target you.
But this man masterminded a crime that was both more profitable and more ruthless than VAT fraud. He is probably the most cunning and powerful fraudster on our Underworld Rich List, with a criminal empire that spreads across Europe. Some even say he's richer than the Queen. His name is John Palmer, otherwise known as Goldfinger. And the source of his fortunes, this place, Tenerife, and thousands of British holidaymakers who fell for his lies. Like former war veteran Edward Jenkins.
I was thinking all the time that this place at Tenerife Fall, it was a place where we could really spend the rest of our lives.
It was an ingenious and simple plan, and it helped make John Palmer one of Britain's richest men.
Imagine you're walking along Playa de las Americas in Tenerife. It's a nice sunny morning. You're on holiday. You're approached by a friendly young man.
I was more or less accosted by a fellow countryman. And of course, when two Welshmen get together, the subject is rugby straight away. And we had a lovely talk about rugby.
You're asked to get in the car and be taken to a Palmer timeshare resort.
And then he gave me a hard luck story about the fact that if he can get me down to their head office, he will get £50 for it. So I readily agreed to do that.
Sit around the pool, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, order pina colada, whatever is your poison, and then out comes another friendly, young, smiling face.
And that's where everything started going wrong.
Palmer's was a timeshare scam with a difference. Potential clients are introduced to so-called independent companies who can sell their old timeshares at a big profit, while the holidaymaker buys a new, better timeshare cheaply from John Palmer.
The champagne helped, of course. And they promised me the earth. It was too good to be true. In fact, it was too good to be true.
Looks good. You might even be told that you're likely to make a profit. But you've got no money with you. So that's not a problem.
It wasn't long before it was time to bring out the Barclay card.
But as I found out, there was no intention of selling the old timeshares. This was the scam. Edward Jenkins and thousands like him now found themselves paying out for two properties.
They showed me the outside of the place that I was going to live in. They couldn't show me the inside, by their own reasoning, for the simple reason that there were people living in it at the time. I should have smuggled up there, but I didn't.
It was a big operation, but there was no question about who was in charge. The man that we're talking about, John Palmer, what was your impression of him when you first saw him?
Oh, I liked the man. He was very nice. Very nice. I thought he was quite a businessman. The only point is his rat-tat-tat way of talking, typically American, and he just fired, not questions at you, but fired information at you. Although he didn't do much of the talking, mark you. It was his slaves who did the talking.
How did he cut you as a figure? How did he cut you?
Very nice, very nice chap.
Edward Jenkins wasn't the only one out in Tenerife impressed by John Palmer. As head of a huge business there employing 3,000 people at 9 resorts, Palmer was fond of extravagant gestures. For particularly to those who might be useful in the future. Like Giovanni Di Stefano, the controversial millionaire lawyer who represented Kenneth Noy and Nicholas Van Hoogstraten. He felt John Palmer's generosity without even meeting him when honeymooning on the island in 1990.
After 6 days, we were supposed to be there for 3 weeks. I said to my wife, look, I haven't got time for this honeymoon anymore. I'm very sorry, but we're just going to have to leave. I can't spend any more time. I have business to run and things to do. Then we came to pay the bill. I said, look, may I have the bill? Oh, well, it's already been settled. I said, well, what do you mean settled? You know, it's my honeymoon. Who paid my bill? I thought my wife had played a joke on me. They said, no, I'm sorry, but your bill has been paid. I said, well, it's impossible. They said, well, it's been paid by Mr. Palmer. I said, who?
Stefano would find out who and why later.
Was that he didn't realise that the gold that was being brought to him was Brinks-Mac gold.
Some, like lawyer Di Stefano, believe he's been a marked man ever since he escaped jail for Brinks-Mac.
I've often said to him it would have been better if he was convicted wrongly, did 5 years in jail, I would have left you alone. Because the state in this country, and most countries in my country too, will never forgive you if you succeed where you should fail. They will always target you.
Not that this put you
in the mid-80s and was very, very successful. And so long as John Palmer was hands-on with that business, there were no problems. But it got big. It was massive. It became a multi-million-pound thing. People from England wanted the sun. They had cheap flights. Everything was right. The circumstances were right.
The boy from Alton had come a long way.
John Palmer then subsequently made a classical mistake, which anyone perhaps would have made, was that he was very successful, very, very wealthy in a very, very short period of time. He decided to want to lead a good life. He didn't want to work 18 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Then out in Tenerife, I tracked down this, a yacht also believed to be worth around £1 million.
He then decided that he would begin to jet all over the world, to go to Las Vegas, to go to everywhere. Well, when you do that, you have abandoned, to a certain extent, your business into the hands of others. Big money attracts big trouble, and you have to always be well aware of that.
But not everyone thought John Palmer's fortune was legitimate. And over in the UK, his timeshare empire had caught the eye of Roy Rand's organised crimes group. An allegation denied by the man who enjoyed Palmer's generosity on his honeymoon.
Most of the actions and most of the wrongdoings and most of the hard sell that had occurred was certainly not done by him.
The whole structure disguised his involvement, because you have this outer ring of companies, and Palmer's name doesn't appear on the registration documents for these companies. Other individuals' names are put forward, nominees, front people, and so Palmer stands even further back.
But behind the scenes, Palmer was pulling the strings. At the other end was
£1 million from holidaymakers in a timeshare fraud.
This time Palmer couldn't escape. Why did he choose to defend himself?
Well, this is an interesting concept. There are an awful lot of millionaires and people who are exceedingly wealthy, who can easily afford the best brains out there. But for some unknown reason, they believe that the success that they have achieved outside the courtroom can be repeated within, and they believe that as men of the people, they will be able to get the message through. It's a fallacy. It's a grave error. And sometimes one's own arrogance can lead to making mistakes, not trained in the law.
businessman has been jailed for 8 years for masterminding a £30 million holiday timeshare fraud in Tenerife.
It was by no means all the money he'd made over the years, but it was still a massive amount. 8 years inside was bearable, but losing this much cash hurt. Not only that, but if he didn't pay it, he faced an extra 11 years in prison. But John Palmer had a plan. His past generosity was about to be repaid.
My wife, who never ever switches the television on to international news, switched on the news and saw John Palmer convicted in 2001. This convicted of timeshare fraud, will be sentenced soon. Nothing was spoken for a few more days in the house, and she said, you. I said, you were referring to me? She said, yes, you will now write to Mr. Palmer and help him because he paid for our honeymoon. I said, who the hell was... I don't know. What are you talking about? I've forgotten.
When you walked into that prison to see him for the first time, what was you expecting?
I said to him, it's very pleased to meet you, Mr. Palmer. He said, cut with Mr. Palmer. He said, my name is John. I said, I just need to ask you a question, please. I said, if you don't mind. He said, no, ask what you like. He said, you're in charge from now on. I said, you don't know me from Adam. I said, look, why did you pay for my honeymoon? He said, for now.
Giovanni Di Stefano found out there is no such thing as a free lunch. It was payback time. His legal team examined the small print of the confiscation order and found that the wrong notice had been served. The appeal court was forced to overturn the order. It was an unbelievable...
You may say, well, what does it matter that 5 words are missing from a notice? And why is it that 5 words missing from a notice should lead to the quashing of the confiscation order? Well, it's simple this. If we do not follow procedure, why have it?
Did Palmer pay that $33 million back?
No, he didn't. He didn't pay the money back. He appealed against the order, and he won his appeal.
I will not allow John Palmer to be economically raped by nobody.
When these guys get long to serve now, I think he gets out in 12, 15 months. What do you think he'll do when you get out?
He could put him as soon as his license period is over, he'll go to Tenerife and stay there and just get on with his life. He's not a young man anymore. My advice would be get the hell out of the United Kingdom because he is a target and he will always be a target.
If he was in this room right now and you could say anything to him, what would it be? Then there's John Goldfinger Palmer. Assessments of his wealth place him higher than any other criminal we have investigated. How much is he worth?
Not a poor person.
£30 million at the moment is still in his pocket.
And it's just the tip of the iceberg. Fraudster John Palmer is top of our 2004 Underworld Rich List, worth an estimated £300 million. And as early